The standoff between Drew Harris and the GRA continues as Gardaí are set to withdraw services in November. What's now been dubbed the Drew flu is the latest move in the ongoing rosters row, and Gardaí will not be available for voluntary overtime on Budget Day and on Halloween. Brendan O'Connor, President of the GRA, joins me now. Brendan, good morning.
Good morning, Pat.
Now, there was the standoff, vote of no confidence and so on, but then you got to meet the Commissioner. What went wrong?
Well, we don't really know, Pat. I mean, as you said, the vote came out there a couple of weeks ago. There was an overwhelming result, a very strong statement from our members, really unprecedented, and certainly in regards to Garda in any workforce. And we thought that the 2 weeks, we thought that was where we sent a strong message, something needed to change. So we had 2 weeks to find some form of a solution. And over the weekend, we were working behind the scenes, and we thought that things had certainly improved, or there was a possible solution on the horizon. And then, from our perspective, the rug was pulled on Tuesday evening, and the Commissioner insisted on sticking to what we consider his precondition. He says we precondition, and he said that the 6th of November was coming, and that was the case. And unfortunately, under those circumstances, we're not prepared to discuss with that impending threat hanging over our members.
So was this a deliberate act, do you think, on the part of the Commissioner to lay down, okay, I set the 6th, I'm not willing to defer, we could, pending a resolution of our discussions, defer the 6th? Or was it just one of those cock-ups that the 6th was the deadline and it just proceeded because it was in the system?
Well, we can't second guess the Commissioner's strategy and his planning, but certainly it to us, and we have to respect his position, but it doesn't make any sense. We were saying was that in many industrial relations disputes, while there is something to be resolved, the norm prevails until an alternative is found. And all we are saying is, we believe we can find an alternative that our members will move on to permanently. So why would they temporarily move on to something and disrupt their lives on the 6th of November and then change again? So we believe that's entirely reasonable. But certainly we believe, but of course we have our own perspective, that it seems a bit to find ourselves to push our members to such levels of frustration and to feel that they have to take such drastic actions over something that's so close to resolution. We really are struggling to understand, but we have to respect the other side's position.
Now, in terms of resolution, and you thought you were almost there, what does that involve? Because the Commissioner said in terms of policing, in terms of budgets and so on, he just wants to go back to the old way, the pre-pandemic way. It worked, he would say, well then. What came in during the pandemic might have been fit for the pandemic, but it doesn't work for him now. So where was the resolution?
Well, I suppose somewhere in the middle where we could provide a service for the public and also balance our members' own requirements for work-life balance. But I would say to say that the 12-hour roster was only suited for the pandemic is probably not that accurate, because it's the go-to roster for Garda Commissioner for any major events when there's an extra demand on service. And to say that the existing roster worked well isn't the case either, because the Commissioner himself wrote to us last November and said he simply didn't have the personnel to go back to it, and we had that independent report commissioned by the Commissioner which said that it was dysfunctional and we didn't have the resources for a 5th unit. So while we're not saying the 12-hour shift imposed or implemented during COVID was perfect, we believe it does work well, and it has been adopted in other jurisdictions. It's being rolled out actually in New York at the moment, where they're experiencing a similar retention and recruitment crisis. And actually the research there shows that 85% of the police personnel have moved on to it, have actually responded positively to it. Many other essential services use a 12-hour roster providing essential services. So it's not just as black and white as that,
What it does mean, if you go back to the old roster, you have more days off. In any particular, say a 3-month period, you have more days off than you would have under the roster that the Commissioner is intending to go back to. Isn't that so?
Yes, the current roster, it's called the 4-on 4-off, but the 4-off is probably a bit of a misnomer, because if you work till 7 o'clock in the morning on a particular day, it's hardly a day off. But certainly what it does is it compacts the working week. But it's very important to remember, guards still work a 40-hour week. We're still waiting on our 13-hour week. The same hours are worked by guards, and if you have a finite number of people and it's recognised not enough people, you can change rosters and you can tweak it slightly, but at the end of the day, there isn't enough people to provide sufficient cover. So there's no magic roster out there, and every roster has its advantages and disadvantages, and we would say that for every place that the Westmanstown roster puts additional people on duty, there's another place where it takes them away. So you really are, you're just trying to cover with not enough. So there's to suggest that the 5-unit roster, which actually puts additional management and strains, and has seen that certain units have to be significantly reduced in number, and including the drugs unit in Wexford. And we just have to see this biggest story, probably nationally and internationally, is about drugs and Wexford. And to go back to the 5th unit, we're actually seeing members reallocated from drug enforcement duties in Wexford. So there is no magic solution, but certainly there is a possibility to have a negotiated solution that creates a balance, and we're willing to find that.
Obviously, addressing retention and recruitment would, maybe give the Commissioner more flexibility in how he opts for a particular roster or otherwise. But a lot of policing is done on overtime, isn't that so? So I'm wondering, would this reduce overtime, the Commissioner's plan to return to the old roster? Would it mean your members losing money? Is that at the heart of this?
No, and that's certainly a misnomer. It's not about overtime is used to make up for shortfalls in numbers, which is going to be the case somewhere. That no roster can actually create more members, and certainly this is about work-life balance, member welfare. It's not about overtime or earnings. Certainly not.
Now, the question of relations with the Commissioner vote of no confidence. Facing him down on this, there will be action by your members. Voluntary overtime will not be available on Budget Day or on Halloween. And then there would be the withdrawing of resources it's it's the blue flu, isn't it? That you're not organising it because you can't. That would be against the law to organise industrial action. So you're depending on individual members saying, I'm not feeling well today.
Well, I don't know what members will actually adopt on the day, but I think the last time there was a conversation with this in 2016, our members felt, who were considering this course of action, said that they wouldn't repeat what happened in 1998 and say they were sick if they weren't sick, that they would just make it known that their services weren't available. But again, that'll be up to individual members to decide. But it is a shame, and the anger and the frustration was palpable in the room yesterday. And it's important to remember that the Gardaí at the minute, as we said, we talked about the recruitment and retention crisis. This is a time when we're asking less Gardaí to do more. There are more assaults on the streets. Our members are under attack. Society is asking them to work harder, which is understandable. We're very committed. But for a leader and for a manager, at a time when you're asking less people to do more, to really take an attitude where there is conflict and tension between us, and we would say to escalate that. We don't understand why anyone would do that. It lacks sense. At a time when we should be having a collaborative approach and showing mutual respect, we believe it's the Commissioner's attitude that has been quite confrontational, and certainly the actions of the last 2 days on the eve of our conference really exacerbated the situation.
You're actually meeting with the Commissioner, but not to negotiate. That's not what the meeting is about. Why are you meeting him in just a few minutes' time?
So the Commissioner has asked us to meet, to make ourselves available so we can outline our position, but our position hasn't changed. So we're available. We won't go into negotiations under the precondition that November 6th exists, but we're always open to finding a solution. And at the end of it, this is not in the interest of our members, it's not in the interest of the public, and it's not in the interest of Garda Síochána. And it's important to remember the people that we represent have dedicated their lives to Garda Síochána and to the service. And as I said the day of the ballot being announced, it was a sad day. And yesterday was another sad day. We do not want to be here. There's no sense of triumphalism or grandstanding. Our members, it's a sheer frustration that we cannot achieve anything behind closed doors through negotiations, and we feel we're coming up against obstacle after obstacle. Yeah.
Isn't there a problem, though? The government have to back their own Commissioner. There's no question about that. The Minister for Justice will have to back her own Commissioner. And there's that whole question of a direct challenge to the chain of command in the Gardaí. I mean, you've got to ask, who's running the show? Is the Commissioner running the show or the GRA running the show?
Yes, well, look, we appreciate that, and we're part of a disciplined organisation in a rank structure. But whenever that survey comes in, and it's not just a small majority, when such a significant number of people who are exercising such a crucial function to our country and its democracy and its social fabric are saying there's a serious issue here, I think we're kind of stepping outside that realm, and some of the concepts at play are actually beyond the normal conversation and the concepts that underlie these issues. So really, we're very careful in what we say, but the situation is quite dire. The Commissioner says there isn't a crisis, and he has actually picked up on the GRA for saying things are crisis. So whatever the situation, whatever label you want to put it on, it's incredibly serious, and somebody in authority has to intervene and bring some common sense to the situation.
Now, just finally, because I know you're under pressure, Brenda, to get to that meeting, the question of what I said was the potential cock-up theory of all of this, that the roster was going ahead. I mean, are you quite sure that this was a deliberate, almost malevolent act by the Commissioner to say, well, the roster's the roster, it's changing in November on the 6th, that's the end of it? Or, as I suggested earlier, is it just in the system and it pops up on your members' diaries and so on, that this is what they're expected to do because we're only just over a month away from it? Could it have been, as I say, an administrative cock-up, or was it a deliberate act of provocation?
Well, I say I can't second guess that, but I would say...
Is that what you're going to be asking the Commissioner?
Well, we won't be asking the Commissioner to explain his thinking or his logic, but we will just be examining how it impacted on members. But look, we all have the adults about this, and if decisions are made that are incorrect, the GRA, we can reverse our decisions, we can reflect on what we've done. So certainly, people being very inflexible and dogmatic in their approach is not helpful on either side, but unfortunately our members are responding to how they perceive they're being treated, and that's what led to the sentiment in the room yesterday.
And just to clarify, those no overtime days, which will be happening throughout October, and Halloween and Budget Day, and then who knows how many will actually cease work in November, you're not organising these things, you say? No,
the individual delegates yesterday stood up and said that as a result of how they felt about it, this is their intentions to do this, and many other colleagues that were there followed suit. So it'll be up to individual members what they choose to do, but it seems to be that a lot of members are going to indicate that they believe that's an appropriate course of action for them personally.
Brendan O'Connor, President of the GRA, thank you very much.